You're watching Rainnite Gaming.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Rainnite Gaming. I'm Rainnite, and in today's video, we're going to be going over learning what people mean in the Gundam card game, or card games in general, because there's lots of weird terms, words, acronyms, phrases, all that kind of stuff that if you're not already in a card game or have played one before, you just don't know. And since Gundam's going to be bringing us tons of people from like Gunpla, anime, all that kind of good stuff, this is a great opportunity for me to learn new terms that I may have missed, and me to teach anybody that doesn't know them to know them so they don't feel discouraged when they go to locals or anything like that. And I made a fancy PowerPoint because I'm an adult. So tell me if you like the PowerPoint. Tell me if you hate the PowerPoint. I did it this time because it sounded fun. Who knows? So let's get into acronyms. So acronyms are just, shortened down words. So TCG, that's trading card game. CCG, collectible card game. LCS, that's local card shop. And RNG, which is pronounced ring, is any kind of random chance in a deck or a game. Usually people don't like ring if there's too much of it. So that's what ring means. And I'm not going to be singing ring, ringing that bell. Not going to do it. Okay, decks and strats. So these are just different kinds of ways decks are built that have certain names that people will say. So aggro, this originally comes from Magic, and it basically means you're playing in a way that you want to attack, and end the game as quickly as possible. Similar to Zerg, but this is from StarCraft. It was basically one of those little races, and you basically build as many little things as you can and attack to try to win the game as quickly as possible. They're very similar, but a little different. Then we get into some more of them. We've got stall, stun, and mill. Stall and stun could probably be the same thing, because it's all about slowing the game down and cutting off certain aspects of a game, like cutting off draw, cutting off special summons, all that kind of stuff in other games. So it's all about slowing the game down. Possibly playing floodgates, which I didn't put floodgates in here, but floodgates are just things that cut off aspects of the game. So it's, snaps it. Mill, it's very different. Basically, you're trying to speed up what's going on, and you're trying to make sure either you take cards from your deck into your graveyard, or you force your opponent to put their cards from their deck into their graveyard, trying to make them run out of cards, because if you run out of cards, you lose the game. But other strategies, which I'm sure will come eventually in Gundam, can focus on getting as many things in the graveyard as possible, and then mill decks come about. Getting to the next thing, we're still in decks and strats. We're going into slow play. Slow play, don't be that guy. Do not be that guy who slow plays. It's really kind of a shady thing to do, or just straight up illegal in some TCGs, or most, I think. And I'm sure it will get introduced as an illegal thing in this game as well. So basically what you're trying to do is stall out the game by playing very slowly, because if you're playing in a tournament, you have a time limit, and when that time limit runs out, whoever has the advantage in a certain way wins that game. So people will get in a winning position and then slow play to try to just waste that clock. It's a terrible thing to do. Do not do it. Ram. It's a little different than all the other ones I just said, because this one you're trying to speed things up. You're getting extra resources in certain ways. In this game, you're getting extra resources from EX resources, or playing cards to make it so you get like a rested resource. Death Scythe does that, but that's how that works. Next up, we've got the meta game. Everybody loves talking about the meta game. I like talking about the meta game. I put out a video about the meta game. Basically, if you don't know what a meta is, it's just any kind of like the trend, most powerful decks out there. Anything that has been doing good in tournaments is going to be like any kind of evolution that a player figures out about a deck, and then it becomes very popular and powerful. That is the meta. And then we get into the different kinds of meta. So we've got the tier 1 and the tier 2. These are the most powerful normal meta. We'll get into not normal here in a second. But tier 1 is you're going to be super powerful decks, very consistent, very good to play. If you go to a tournament, you're going to see these decks, and that deck is probably going to win the tournament. Tier 2, while still a good deck, a good solid deck, and can win tournaments, you're usually not going to beat those tier 1 decks consistently. Usually, like, you're missing a piece of your deck that would make it work really good, or something in the meta is making your deck not perform as well, because like there's something that just counters your deck in the top meta, so you don't want to play it as much. Then we get into Rogue. Rogue is, everybody likes playing Rogue decks. They're just like the fun decks, that have a certain theme you really like, or a certain playstyle you really like. They're not as powerful as the upper tiers, but they're still decent decks for the most part. But you're going to see those primarily at local card shops, tournaments. You won't see them at the top tables at, big tournaments at all. Then we've got anti-meta. It's kind of the opposite. Basically, this is a deck that wouldn't be good, but it has certain aspects or cards that counter the upper meta cards. So meta strategies that are going on right now, you'll play a deck that counters that. So yeah, you may not actually win against Rogue or some tier 2 decks, but you're going to crush those tier 1 decks, and that's your idea right there. That's anti-meta. Then we get into the big boy, tier 0. This is also called like a tier 0 format. There's one deck that is super powerful, and if you're not playing that deck and you play that deck, you're going to lose to that deck. This is one where, if you go to a tournament and it's like 90% of the people in the top tables are playing this deck, you're in a tier 0 format. That's just kind of how that works. And this will usually not last super long because the company will see that it's going on and they'll ban some certain cards to make it so that deck isn't as consistent or powerful. And you might be thinking, ban list? What's a ban list? Well, I'll tell you what a ban list is. A ban list is just a list of cards that the company, Bandai in this thing, would put out saying, you can't play this card anymore, it's too good, or it does something we don't like anymore. And usually that happens when like a new set comes out and things work too well together, or you've got an older card game like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where somebody will put something out new, and there's some card that came out 20 years ago that for some reason makes it outrageously good. And so they have to go and ban a card or limit. So like they could put it to 0 cards, 1, 2, or 3. So it's called like the ban list or the ban limited list. That's kind of the thing right there. Rotation. Rotation is similar to the ban list. Pokemon does this, where if you have a set numbers and it goes past a certain date, they'll be like, okay, anything past this set can no longer be played in our standard play. And if you look up on our boy Char here, he's in set ST01. So if a rotation happened and it says anything from ST01 and back, they can no longer be played. So anything that came out in that structure deck is no longer able to be played unless it gets reprinted in a newer set. So that is what rotation is. I'm not sure whether I like rotation or if I like ban list more. I'm kind of in between. Card slang. This is just like general terms that people use and they come from other games and get put into this, and they're just used a lot, so you kind of need to know what they are. Vanilla, it's pretty simple, and if I was smart, I would have put a vanilla card in here, but I didn't because I'm dumb. Vanilla is basically just means there's no effects. You've just got your cost, your level, and your attack and defense, and nothing else. It's a vanilla. That's just kind of, it's a vanilla ice cream. It doesn't have chocolate chips or nothing good like that. Nobody likes vanilla. Actually, I can get down on vanilla milkshake. That's pretty good. Okay, and back at it. Staples. Staple, any kind of card that's really good and widely used in lots of decks. This is going to be called a staple card because it's going to be in any deck that card can be used because it's just that good. For instance, the search card, the Pot of Greed for the blue deck, that will always be played in the blue deck. Guarantee you, because drawing cards is amazing. And that just makes it a staple card that you're always going to see. Okay, getting into some more cards like we've got Bounce. Bounce and Swing. Bounce is kind of the opposite of Destruction because instead of destroying the card, you're just taking it from the field and putting it back in a hand. So you can bounce cards from your opponent's field into their hand, and there's ways to bounce cards from your field into your hand. Well, there's probably not right now, but there will be eventually. We'll get to it. It just makes sure it's not a destruction effect. And also remember, Gundam, if you have a pilot and your unit gets bounced to your hand, both come to your hand. So it's actually not terrible sometimes. Swing. Swing is just a tap. People like saying swing for some reason. I say it, you say it, everyone says it. I love saying swing instead of attack. It just sounds cool. Okay, getting into game advantages. So card advantage. Card advantage, it's kind of self-explanatory. If you have more cards than your opponent, you have card advantage. Then it's like varying degrees of how much card advantage you have. And usually if you get a lot more card advantage, like you have like 5 cards and they're top decking, you're probably going to win that game just because of overwhelming card advantage. Then we've got board advantage. Board advantage, it's a little different because some people will lump card advantage and board advantage into the same thing, and it can be, but you can have board advantage and not card advantage. So say somebody has 10 cards in their hand, but your board is full of just 6 really powerful units. They technically have card advantage, but you have board advantage, and you are in a better state than they are. So it's good to know both different ways of that being said. And then we've got value trade. Value trade's a new one for me for this game because I was never heard before. So basically this is all about how many resources are used. I'm going to just read it. Used to remove things. Your opponent's board. For example, if your opponent has a unit that costs 7 to play and you use 2 resources to remove it, you had a better value trade. That makes sense, kind of. If they've got something that they spent a ton of time and resources making, and then you're able to just ding it away for 2 resources, you got really good value trade in that. It's also like if you're blocking and your blocker doesn't get destroyed, but their attack does get destroyed, so then they have to use another resource to destroy your blocker. That's just make sure you've got good value. And we've got counting counts. We've got persistent damage. That's something new in this game for me. Basically what that means is once your unit has damage on it, that unit always going to have that damage on it unless it gets repaired or unless it gets bounced back to your hand or totally destroyed. And what you're going to need for that, you're going to need counters. Counters are just dice, or the structure decks come with counters. They're going to be little things you put onto your card that tell you how much damage it's taken. That's basically all that is. So what did I miss? I'm sure I missed all kinds of crap because there's so much stuff in these TCGs that I don't even know. Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you for staying till 13 minutes into the video. I love that. Comment down below that you stayed for the whole time and you have some options for some different words that you want me to go over. And if I get enough of them, I'll make another video like this. Unless you hated this video, and then I probably won't. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you come around and watch some more. But until then, my name is Rainnite. This has been Rainnite Gaming, and I'll see you later. See ya!